Good day everyone, my name is Sasha, aka your future advocate. Okay, so today I'm going to give you a summary of Introduction to Law Learning Unit 1, just to prepare everyone for the exam that is upcoming on the 7th of June. So I'm just going to be uploading every day each learning unit so that, by the time that it arrives, you have understood the content that are in the study guide, because the study guide, it's big. But anyways, today we're going to do learning unit 1 under the topic what is law. So I'm just going to first define the outcomes, and then we're going to dive into it, and after that I'm going to give a conclusion, the overall, right? Okay, so under learning unit 1, we're going to talk about the topic, under the topic what is law. So under there we're going to define what is law, the characteristics of law, the two divisions of law. There is the first division is the public law and the private law, and then the second division is the formal / procedural law and the substantive / material law. And then after that we are going to talk about the basic requirements in which the formal law must comply in order to achieve formal justice. And then after that we're going to talk under the topic the question of justice. We're going to talk about two types of justice, that is formal justice, substantive justice. And then after that we are going to talk about the law and then legal norms. Okay, let me check what else have I left. Yes, I think that is pretty much all. So yeah, we can dive into it. So firstly, we're going to start with the definition of law. So I'm going to read on my notes, and then I'm going to explain, right? So according to my notes, it's written there that a law is concerned with the norms that bind the whole community. That is those norms of conduct or rules of human behavior that should be obeyed by all of the society. Meaning that law are the rules and regulations or the conduct that are enforced, that are set by the state organs to ensure that we follow them, and then we abide by them, right? And also there is a difference between the legal norms and the moral norms. So the legal norms are the norms that the whole community must follow and must obey, and then the moral norms is the opposite of the definition of the legal norms. For example, there are some people that regard adultery or sexual immorality as immoral, but it is not a crime according to law, right? But however, there are times where the moral norm can be interlinked with the legal norm. For example, there is a commandment in the Bible that says that thou shalt not kill. It is both immoral, and it also is both a crime, and if one commits such, he can be punished or persecuted, right? And then we're going to talk the characteristics of law. The law governs human behavior and conduct. So it sets us the rules that we must abide by, and then it shapes our human behavior, it shapes our conduct, it guides us on how we should act to prevent crimes, to prevent many things from happening that are bad, right? And then all society should obey by the law, like I said. And then the law, it involves everyone. It's not a matter of I want to, I don't want to. Everyone must abide by that. And then the state organs enforces the law, which means the state organs are the people in the high places, the government, and then the people that set the rules are the ones that set out the rules and enforce the law that everyone should abide by, right? And then also by ignoring or disobeying the law, you might be prosecuted or punished, or rather you might be asked to compensate the other party that you might have damaged. In this instance is when you are driving. I'm going to give two examples. The first one is when you are driving, and then maybe you were not looking where you were going, and then you hit another car, right? And then that other car is now damaged, or both the person is now damaged and the car is damaged. So now you are required to compensate, to pay for the damage of the car, both also for the damage of the person. And then the second scenario is when you are involved in a fight, and then you fight with this person, then you hurt the person and is now admitted to the hospital, and then after the medical treatment, and then the person is given a bill. Now you are required to pay the bill, because you were the one that was responsible for that damage, right? Yeah, so that is pretty much the consequences of disobeying the law or ignoring the law. right? And also there are two methods which are used to divide South African law into main divisions. So under South African law, there are two main divisions. The first division is public law and private law, right? Public law deals with the relationship between individuals and the state or state organs, and then the private law deals with the relationship between individuals and other individuals. And then the second division is the formal procedural law and the substantive or material law. Right, so formal or procedural law is that part of law which deals with the procedures that must be followed in legal proceedings. So this rule determines how court cases are decided and the type of evidence that are allowed to be presented in the court, the type of evidence that are not allowed, and also what type of evidence should you bring and what type of content it should contain, right? Now we're going, and then that is formal procedural law. Now we're going to talk what is substantive or we're going to talk about what is substantive or material law. Substantive or material law is concerned with the content of the rules and not the way in which it is applied. So, which means it is the part that determines the content and the meaning of different legal rules. So it is surrounding the content of the rules and the regulations, right? That is why it is called substantive or rather material law. And then now we have the question of justice, right? Laws can be just or unjust. The fact that a rule becomes a law does not justify that it is just or justice will be done, right? So now the question is, how do we then decide if a rule is just or not? Right, so throughout the history, people have questioned the justness of the various legal rules. As in South Africa, our law is uncodified. Our law, we do not have one primary source. It contains from different areas. Yes. Okay, so many philosophy has formulated to decide whether laws are just or unjust. Sometimes writers have suggested that if rules were applied strictly, this will lead to justice. But however, sometimes there are instances whereby if legal rules applied very strictly, it can lead also to injustice. And others have indicated that sometimes the strict application of the law will lead to injustice, like I explained, rather than the justice. And that raises the question of what justice is. So there are many definitions of what is justice. And speaking of justice, we have two different types of justice. We have formal justice and then we have substantive justice. Okay, so now formal justice are the rules that determine how court cases are decided and decision. So the definition of formal justice is interlinked with formal law, and then the definition of substantive justice is interlinked with the definition of substantive law. Right? Okay, and substantive justice concerns the content of the rule and not the way in which it is applied. I think I did mention it when I was giving a definition of substantive law, right? And then therefore, to establish whether the substantive justice has been done, the content of the rule itself is looked at to determine whether it is just and fair, right? And also in the 1950s, the Group Areas Act was established or was passed into law to become another fundamental policy in the apartheid regime that caused segregation or the separation of different races. This act was the purpose of this act was to segregate different racial groups. For example, back in the days, the white people used to live in the suburbs and then the black people used to live in the locations. So this law was passed to segregate that, right? And then now we're going to talk about the basic requirements in which formal law must comply with in order to achieve formal justice, right? The first one is there must be explicit rules laid down to show how people must be treated in specific cases. Right? So there must be rules that apply to different scenarios. That is what this means. And then the second one is the rules must apply generally, which means that the rules must apply to all people in the groups in the same circumstances, which means that if you're dealing in the case of murder, if it's a woman versus a man, you should treat it, if a man killed a woman, you should treat it the same way if a man has killed a woman, like vice versa. That is how. Yeah, for example, let's say a woman has been raped by a man. The way that you're going to treat that case, it must be the same as you're going to treat the case of when a man is raped by a woman. So yeah, that is what is meant by the basic requirements in which women must comply, because justice, like, law must be just to everyone, no matter the racial, the gender, the background, and everything. Right? And then lastly, we're going to talk about the law and other normative system. So under normative system, we have three. We have religion, we have individual morals, we have community morals. Right? So we're going to start with the religion. So according to Klein et al., he pointed out that every religion has a code, a set of rules, in accordance with which the people practice in that particular religion. For example, for Christians, the code is the Bible, and for the Muslims, it's Quran, right? And every religion has a sanction or punishment, rather, for those that do not abide by the code or the conduct of that certain religion that is set out. Right? And also in South Africa, everyone has a freedom of religion. You are free to exercise or partake in religion that you want. You're not forced to, for example, if we don't have that type of enforcement, but everyone must be a Christian or everyone must be a Muslim. Now everyone has their own freedom to practice their own religion, or to choose which religion they want to believe in, and also you can choose if you do not want to believe in any religion. Right, and then that is it about the religion and the normative system. And then the second one is individual morality or personal ethics, right? So when we speak about individual morality, we refer to the norms or standards that you set for yourself, right? For example, if you can set morals or personal ethics of, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to drink, I'm not going to tell lies, I'm not going to smoke. Now, if a person in that instance decide to break the rules or the rules or the conduct that you have set for yourself, one can have that self-remorseful, you may regret, you might feel bad for that. Right? Oh, also I forgot to mention that the sanction for religion, it also differs. For example, in Christianity, there is a sanction if you disobey the conducts that are set there. In Muslims, and so on and so on. And also in individual morality now, the sanction, it's yourself. You might feel guilty, you might feel bad, you start overthinking. That is the sanction for that. And then lastly, we're talking about the community morals. Now, these are the norms of the whole community or the groups of people within that community, right? And then these are collective morals, as it involves everyone. All right. So the sanction for non-compliance, it varies. It depend on the members of the society or the communities, right? For example, there are communities that do not allow gay marriages, right? They don't accept gay marriages, and they also they forbid they can also forbid polygamy in that community. And the sanction to that, people might be very much judgmental. You might feel not loved, you might feel not having that sense of belonging. So that might be the sanction for that. So again, the sanction for these three religion, individual morals, and the community morals, it differs, is very depending on which religion, and then on yourself, and also in which type of community, and also the members of the society, right? And that is all for learning unit 1. I hope that you have learned. So I'm just gonna give a summary. So we have talked about the definition of law, the characteristics of law, the two division of law, that is public law and private law, and then that is formal law and substantive law. And then we've talked about two different type of justice, the formal justice, substantive justice, the question of justice, and then we have talked about the basic requirements that formal law must comply with in order to achieve justice. And then we also talked about the law and the normative system. So yeah, that is it. Learning Unit 1, I feel like it's very much straightforward and easy to understand, easy to grasp, and I hope that you have learned here. Advocate Sasha, signing out.